as you noticed, we didn't start very early on because we wanted you to get into the other courses, and then we start the integration project a little bit slow and ramping up towards the end of the course, and then not so much on the other courses, more on the projects that we have more time to integrate and use some of the technologies that you're going to be seeing now in the other courses. Because integration project is about combining technologies, and I think it's a good idea that we get started in these other courses first. You have some knowledge to integrate into the project. There is some information on Fronter, but as you can see here, most of it is on Competence. I will link to the Competence page, and that's the one I'm going to be using here. So Fronter is mostly going to be used for handing in the final report. And also, as you will see, we expect you to hand in a report within a week. So next Monday, at the end of the day, you need to hand in a report to summarize what the groups are going to be and what the project topic is going to be. I'll come back to that. So if you go to Competence, you have the integration project space, and there has been some updates quite recently. What I've done is I've put up folder for the seminars, and in the seminars we have the various seminars, and there won't be much lecturing during those seminars. Now and then, maybe a little bit, not so much. It's mostly the seminars. We will be doing demos or retrospectives, the same way or as we did in the Applied Computer Science project. Although the feedback from some of you during the Applied Computer Science project is that it wasn't so useful to have other teams present or listening into other teams present. So what we will be trying is we will be here, and the groups will be spread around, and Deputy and I will be the supervisors, and you could demo to us individually while you work on the retrospectives internally. You don't have to prepare that much before coming here, and you do the demo here, and we go and do one by one, and you sit in group and do the retrospective in groups. You don't have to sit in and listening to the others, but we do have the option to address common things, and if there is something that we think that one group has been doing that the others should see, then we could share that space as well. We can work in parallel, and we can work in the shared setting, joint setting. And currently, 2 of the seminars don't show up on your calendar, because on the calendar were just these 3 seminars put in place, but I just asked for the 2 other seminars to be put back. The kind of disappeared, I guess. But the March 6th and 3rd of April will come in addition to the other dates that you will find on the calendar. Now, what we're going to do today is look at the course description, because the course description is really addressing what the whole objective, what the goals of this project is. And it's twofold. And from last year's projects, be aware that one of the bullet points is novel innovative systems. Yes, it's integration project, and the focus is on integrating technologies, but at this point, we assume that you bring in some new novel ideas into the solution as well. Last year, a couple of teams did very well in integrating technologies, but there was nothing really innovative there. There was no really new ideas, and it was unfortunate because they did a good job, but didn't get that good mark because they didn't meet that criteria. So keep that in mind. But what you will be mostly facing will be the challenges of selecting and combining and integrating some state-of-the-art technologies. We have some project ideas. Marius is going to come back to them. But before that, I think we should just spend a little bit of time going through the project description, just to highlight what I was just summarizing. So we're going to be looking at technology integration. You will be developing, again, not necessarily final systems, but more like prototypes, proof of concepts. You will assess technology, what are the alternative libraries, platforms, systems to use, and it's about innovation assessment. So in a month, I think, March 23rd seminar, I may address the whole innovation, because last year we did have digital innovation entrepreneurship, in which innovation was covered, but now we don't have it. So to be able to assess innovation, I may need to do a little bit of innovation, or additional innovation issues. So these are kind of the the topics that we're covering. If you look at the learning outcomes, so after the course, we expect that you have knowledge in assessing technologies, which means that whenever you have that you see that you need to solve a problem, rather than just choosing a technology, you should use the opportunity to compare alternatives. So whatever alternative you go with, you should at this point compare alternatives and then write down what are the strengths and weaknesses of the alternative technologies. And you have gained knowledge in integrating technologies in larger systems. So rather than adding yet another feature using the same type of solution, think about, okay, what can we do in the system to demonstrate that we can integrate more, we can add new types of features. So it's not about, as I said, not about developing a complete system, but it's about getting experience from a variety of technologies and a variety of functionality. So if you have a choice, you have a long list of alternative features or alternative things you could add, rather than choosing one that is very similar to things you've already done, choose something that is very dissimilar, so you get the optimized experience with the new technologies. And then, of course, then assessing innovation. So it doesn't say that you have to be very innovative. Yes, it says you should be able to add novel ideas and innovative ideas. But it doesn't say that, and we won't link the marketing to how innovative your ideas are, meaning that the more creative you are, the higher marks. No, it's more being able to assess the novelty of your idea, to compare it to other ideas, to compare it to state of the art, and say how to do this. So it doesn't have to be all the way top, to be a little bit novel, but the important thing is that you're able to say, what are the novel aspects and why is it novel in this setting? That's also important to remember, that novelty isn't necessarily about coming up with all these brand new ideas, but it's to use existing ideas in new settings, in new environments, using the way that hasn't been used before. So that's the knowledge part. Skills part. You should be able to contribute innovative ideas, and when you combine the technologies. So it doesn't say that it has to be all great new ideas, but you have to add some new ideas, and at least you need to be able to discuss them. And you should assess the strengths and weaknesses of technologies. It's rarely so that that one technology has their strengths and no weaknesses. It's usually a set, and when we choose because the strength fits with what we really need, and the weaknesses aren't too bad, we can live with them. So that's why we need to be able to assess and compare the performance or the qualities of the technologies with what we could say it would be important to this system. And then assess innovativeness. General competence. So you are able to contribute to innovative thinking and innovating process, and that is what master's degree, or people with master's degree is supposed to be able to contribute to innovative thinking and innovation processes. And your ability to prioritize needs when integrating projects with competing objectives is something that we have been exposed to. Again, so again, it's very much about deliberate choices. So when you see that you have a customer with, or a system product owner with needs, you need to kind of prioritize the needs and choose the ones that are more important, or the ones that would, in this case, prove the idea. Yeah, I think that is about the minimum viable product. That's the idea here as well. So think about, so when you prioritize needs, you may prioritize in terms of demonstrating effects rather than what might be most important to the user in the end. So what's most important here will be knowledge about whether you should go forward with the project or not. But these are the things you need to discuss here when you prioritize. All of this means that it's a good idea for you to make notes as you go through the project so that you have something to discuss in the final report. Because in the final report, you need to address all these things. And if you have no clue of why you chose one technology, which alternatives you were looking at, what you were thinking in terms of prioritizing, what you were thinking in terms of why this is novel, if you make no notes during the project, then you have a hard time recovering or sitting up again. So in the retrospectives, when you meet for a retrospective, that's a good idea to sit down and note down what you learned in terms of innovativeness, in terms of comparing, assessing technologies, as well as just the outcome of the actual project work. Yeah. What we recommend is groups in 2 to 3 members. You could be 4. This is a very small class, so with 4, then we'll do many projects. Before, but typically with 4, there's a possibility that you aren't able to distribute work nicely among the members. So 2 to 3 is a good number, but it's not a requirement to do projects. You can do it individually as well. What I would warn you about, though, is that if you run it individually, you don't have you don't have any partners to discuss ideas. So innovativeness, novelty might be a bit more of a challenge if you're just by yourself, but then you have just your own ideas. And we know that ideas can be improved through discussions, through working and revision. That is something that works better if you are in groups. But that's a risk you have to assess and you have to take yourself, because we don't require big groups. We're just saying that group work for novelty and innovativeness, group work may be an advantage. We will record the seminars, although if there are just the joint parts. When the group work, there is no reason for recording the group work. So it's the joint part, the introductions and the joint parts. Yeah, there will be a written report and there will be an oral exam, individual oral exam, in which we discuss each one of you, your contributions to the project and how you assess the innovativeness and I don't know if there's anything more. Yeah, you have to both the report needs to be passed and the oral exam. I think that is pretty much what we need to say about it. So let me talk more about the course organization before going into the project ideas. So, as I said, the way we organize this is to have a slow start, but then like quite a hardworking last part of the project, so that you can look into technologies and have some time to come up with ideas. Because when you come up with ideas, it's you typically need a bit of time to think about it. It doesn't always help just sitting together or sitting and banging out ideas. Sometimes you just need to leave it, to work hard with an idea, you need to leave it, and when you come back to it, and or you do something very different, then all of a sudden that good idea comes up. So typically the idea generation phase needs to be a bit longer, and you need to just talk or time to digest ideas and talk about it, and then eventually a good idea comes up. We would like you to run kind of an agile process. We are not going to enforce. It's not like the applied computer science project where the objective would be the tools and methodologies. So here you can choose to use whatever tools you want. I mean, the tool stack that you used in the fall is a good idea. I would recommend use it, and you can have a set up Jira project for you and Competence. Use Competence space under here. Just create project pages under here and Git, of course. But we don't require, because this is up to you now. You know, or you should be able to choose the best tools based on the experience from the fall. But we do want an agile process in the sense that we meet every 2 weeks, and we like your feedback, and it's a good idea to run in kind of sprints, so that you can have something to report and this demo to us every 2 weeks. But how you do this is all up to you to find the process, and definitely you can tell you all about adapting process to the project. It's not like there's one process that's always the best one. So if you would like some advice, then get this expertise in software engineering processes, so that she can help you fine tune and discuss what would be optimal for this project. Yeah, so we're going to be in groups then in the seminars, and if there are groups that are going to be distributed, some are not going to be here, it's a good idea that you bring up the Skype and have that person be involved. That's possible during the seminars. So being in Skype, so that the group and the supervisors can talk to individuals. Yeah, as I said already, team projects preferred, but individual projects will also be accepted. And supervisors, Deputy and I will, when we see what groups are, we will be your supervisors. And we will meet with you then at least every 2 weeks. But we also still hope that you will show up in between and ask for our guidance. Because the thing is that these projects are supervised, which means that you are entitled to get help, but we are not going to be pushing you. We are not going to be pushing you. We will need you on a regular basis, but beyond that, it's your choice. But they're kind of sad when you never show up because we think we have a lot to offer. Okay, so then maybe Mario should talk about the project. So there are project ideas here. Now, before I introduce that part, if you have ideas, if you have projects you would like to work on yourself, then you may define your own project. It's not like we just have a set of projects here that you choose from. You can choose your own project. But to make sure that it's the right type of project, you need to commit that. And even the project that Mariusz and Sam are working on, the project ideas, even though they are kind of ready ideas, remember that to be able to show novelty and be innovative, you need to take that as kind of project seed idea and take it in your direction. Not like this is ready to go and you can just go, or you just go by Mariusz and say, okay, what's next? What should we do next? No, that's not the way to work. The way to work is that this is an idea, and you take it and you may discuss, go to Mariusz, say, oh, we have this idea, and get his feedback on that, but not expect him to tell you what to do. Yep. Okay. All right.
So to add a little bit to what Runa was saying, we have the supervisors. So
supervisors will help you with the process, with the project, and then we have this kind of product owners or the people who are kind of a stakeholder for the ideas that are proposed here. And I'm here alone, but I'm kind of representing 3 people or 3 product owners in those 3 different projects. So as Rune said, you can come up with your own project idea, and then you will become your kind of own product owner, and you will drive the idea, specify what specifications you need, and so on. And then you also will be the kind of a development team to deliver it, right? So if you pick an existing project, that part is kind of helped with an external kind of product owner. If you develop your own idea, then you're kind of doing both of those parts yourself, right? So that's just a clarification. The other thing is the technology choices. When I was talking about it, that you have to motivate why did you decide to pick a particular technology. And that's kind of very crucial. So you have to know why you're choosing a particular solution for a particular problem. You cannot motivate it saying, okay, we knew PHP and we used it before, therefore we use PHP for this, right? You have to have kind of a more reasons for picking a technology, and the reason that you knew it is kind of a weak one in this course. So you have to kind of motivate why you're picking a particular technology. And you've been exposed to a number of technologies throughout the last couple of years. You've experienced different web frameworks, different mobile ways of developing applications, and so on. So you can use this course as a kind of space to develop further, to investigate further, and what is happening anew. So there are 3 projects. I will start with the game. This is a project proposed by Simon. So Simon will be the project owner, and I may help. So the idea is that we have a couple of games which students developed in the mobile course or in the master projects. And those games are kind of mobile, either on a laptop, on a tablet, or on a mobile phone. And they're kind of educational. They were targeted towards the international school, and the kids can kind of use it. Some of them are language-based, some of them are math-based, and the game which this project is about is a puzzle game with mathematical expressions. So kids can, it's sort of like it's like a puzzle game where you have to arrange certain things in certain order to solve a mathematical formula. And the game is already done, but it doesn't have any scoring. It doesn't have any way for teachers to see who is doing what, who achieved what. And also one of the interesting things about this game is that children can design their own levels and then make other kids trying to solve it, right? So I can design my own kind of equation as a puzzle and give other kids to kind of try to solve it. And that part is done, but it doesn't allow kids to share it across multiple tablets. So if I design a puzzle on my tablet, it's not only on my tablet, and then I have to give my tablet to somebody to kind of solve it. And it would be nice if that new puzzle is stored on the backend and then shared with other kids, right? So the project has 2 parts. It has to have some sort of a front end, which the teachers will access, and it has some sort of backend which can store some of the in-game events, some puzzles, or other metrics that the teacher finds interesting, right? And there is a bit of a constraint that the game is already done in Unity, right? So you would have to work with Unity on the game side because the games are already done in Unity, and then provide some sort of a layer, some sort of library where the game developers can talk to, and then that will allow the communication to the backend. The backend part, it's up to you. You would have to decide the technology and decide what you want to do. We have more than one game, but we were thinking starting just with this one because that one is the most fun we currently have, and we would like to publish it. And we don't want to publish it without having this kind of backend for the game. Any questions about this one? All right, so if you want more details, you can talk with me or Simon about this one. The second one is the least specified one. I don't have the description of it yet. I have the external stakeholder. So the external stakeholder is an Italian startup company of 5 developers. They developed a peer-to-peer technology for doing earthquake relief. So currently the problem is if you want to donate money to any charity organizations, there is a huge overhead of how much money you actually donated and how much money ends up with the end user, right? And they set to solve this problem by donating full 100%. So if you donated something, it will be using modern cryptocurrency donation schemes. So they are integrating with Bitcoin to make sure that your whole donation goes to the recipient. And they're only specializing in kind of earthquake relief. They are Italian-based, so they had kind of a couple of incidents in recent years. And by Wednesday, we'll have a project description. But currently, I don't have a project description. You can have a look at the videos they have. I said supervisor manager. Of course, it will be Rune or Dipti. I will be kind of representing the local sort of liaison of the external product owner. So I will fill in a little bit more details here, but the interesting technologies here will be probably mobile and integration with blockchain technology. So if you're interested in blockchain or in cryptocurrencies, that might be an interesting project to embark on. Any questions about this one? Yeah, it's a little bit vague right now, right? It doesn't actually have a project yet because I'm not sure how much they already have and what they want to explore, what sort of things they would like to have investigated. So we will see by Wednesday. And then the final one is a mobile app repository. So the problem is that there are repositories for mobile applications. Like we have Google Play and we have App Store, right? But as a researcher, I might want to ask a question, for example, how many apps released in 2016 were done with Cordova? And I may have a way of investigating APKs and seeing if they include kind of a Cordova library and see statistically how many of the apps released in 2016 use the web technology and how many were native. The malware lab also has questions related to certain malware samples. They would like to ask questions like, okay, in the apps released in 2016 March, how many of them had particular signature of the malware that they are interested in? And they cannot run those queries on the normal App Store and normal Google Play because they don't have access to those APKs. So what we want to do is we want to replicate and create a local repository of all the binaries for the mobile applications, so then researchers can ask queries about various aspects of those APKs. So the repository will be local. You as a researcher can pose a query or pose a sort of a module to execute on those binaries and get some statistical data out of it. And we want to store some metadata about all those APKs that we store in such a way that every time you run some, say, malware or software engineering statistics on it, you annotate that, okay, this APK, this library was using PhoneGap, or this APK was using Xamarin, or this APK is having a particular signature of the malware that the malware lab is interested in. So we want a backend which will store the actual APKs, and we want the front end which will allow researchers to contribute new APKs and then have some sort of processing done on it. Obviously, one question which immediately pops up is, okay, let's imagine we do have this system, and then you have the backend and you have the front end for it, and then what else is needed? What is the missing bit that for this system to actually be useful? So I have a human kind of interacting with it, and the backend has the database and so on. So what's missing here?
Communication with Google Play.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have 0 APKs here, right? It's kind of useless, right? So how are we gonna populate this system with the actual binaries, with all the APKs, right? Or APKs or some other. Well, that is a challenge, right? And it is not part of this project. Okay, so we will solve this challenge separately, and you don't have to solve this bit. there are some ideas. We have, for example, some Chinese shops which only operate on the HTTP protocol, and you can kind of bypass the security checks and use like Tor for scraping a lot of APKs. There is a university in Netherlands which has a repository of 5.5 million APKs, and we kind of discussing with them of having some sort of a deal that we can use some of the APKs to put into our repository. So there will be ways of populating the repository once we have the infrastructure for actually storing it, right? So you don't have to deal with this bit, but design and analyze and investigate what to do here. There is one constraint also, and the constraint is that this system will probably operate on a massive amount of binaries. So let's say we have here 5 million executables which you would like to run some queries on, right? The system needs to be fast. Okay, so it has to, we cannot run a query and wait 2 weeks for it to do its processing. It has to actually do the processing in a fast fashion. So speed is a constraint here, and efficiency of implementation. So me as a product owner sort of suggest that we do use some modern technologies which are focusing on speed. And I'm suggesting using Go. If you can convince me that there is a better choice, that's fine. But as a constraint, and I know it's a big one because I don't think any of you used Go before, I'm sort of suggesting using a microservice architecture and using Go as an implementation language. But of course, the final decision is up to you, and if you can come up with a reasonable way of achieving the same using different technology, that's fine. Any questions about this one? Okay, so those are the 3 which we currently written up. Will we have more? All right, so those are the kind of the 3 with the external product owners, and then we are open for suggestions from you if you would like to explore something that interests you. We did have a couple of last year proposed by students, and they were kind of interesting. They combine different technologies, and
So if you would like to continue some of the activities you did with that time program, if that's possible to continue the topics there.
Yeah.
What if 2 groups would like to choose the same project? Is that a problem, or is that doable? Or?
I think it's doable. I think it is doable.
Because we have done it before, so
We've done it before.
it's not necessarily exclusive, because what you will see is that the 2 groups that will focus a bit differently.
Yes.
Will choose different approaches, which is good for comparing and learning from.
That's right. So we did have groups working on the same project and making different choices and different, focusing on slightly different aspects of it, and ending up with different products at the end. So I don't think there's a problem of multiple groups doing the same project. Yeah, and also in terms of scope, we were just discussing with Simon a little bit. The course is 7.5 points, so it's roughly slightly over 200 hours, right, of work. Some of those hours will go into seminars and into preparing the presentations and doing demos and doing retrospectives and so on. But vast majority of those hours are kind of dedicated for the actual development work. So you may think about 160, 170 hours of work per developer. Some of it will be learning. So if you are to learn a new language or investigate some technology choices, of course, some of those hours go into that. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So do you have any, I know one with an idea, but then do you have any ideas? Maybe.
So all three of those will be used, right? So we do want to use this repository, and we do want to use the game backend for the educational games. And I'm sure the Italians want to use whatever you guys develop as well. So those are kind of applied projects which have a real value in being kind of adapted to real world use cases. Yeah.
So I'm really interested in mesh deformation, and I want to try and use meshes to generate water flow, to see if it can be done in a more realistic way and sort of also be cheaper than
Mhm.
I don't know what it is, but because if you have it and you optimize it, it's in theory on rain or have proper rain. I have some ideas. Been thinking a lot about it recently.
Because what I was thinking is, what we're going to do for next seminar is that we have this classroom belongs to 1 block for us. So once we are done with the presentation, I think that should be good. Then you have the time to form groups, to discuss ideas, and we can be around here if you want to, or if you just need to go by yourself and as well, come by our offices if you need. So that we can either develop some all new ideas or look into the proposed ideas and think about everything how you like to work. I like to all here and we have discussion below. That we use the time because what we need to do to the next seminar, well, actually, already next week, because we wanted to now decide on the groups and choose project. Either choose to go your own way, and then you need to set aside some time this week to meet again and develop the idea, or you dive into some of the proposed ones. Because next Monday, by the end of the day next Monday, midnight, you need to submit a proposal each for each group. If you are a group, then you do a group submission. If you're individual, you do an individual submission, where you describe the project and the group. And it doesn't have to be very detailed, but it needs to be enough for us to see if this is at the right level, that it will give you the experience for integrating technologies and will allow you to be innovative and come up with new ideas. Now, last year, and here you need to be careful. Last year, one of the groups complained because they chose a project that it wasn't as noble as you were hoping, and they get that. They complained that we had accepted the idea because if they didn't have no features, they thought that we had accepted the wrong proposal. But that's not the case. The proposal gave room for novel ideas, but you have to take that attitude as well. It's not just about the idea or the proposal. It's also about what you do with the proposal. So, but we would like to make sure that it has at least the possibility for you to be innovative and for you to meet the challenges that this course is. That's why we have the screening process and approval process before the proposal. Another week. Next week, this classroom is in research for you, so you need to find ways to pass. And then at the end of the day, you just upload the proposals. We look at them and give you feedback, and then let the line and agree on how we distribute the and is there a template for it, or is it just informal?
Just very informal.
So group names, and then just describe what you're doing. But try to address the two parts. Why you think it gives you room to be innovative, and what technology challenges you see. But just half a page or a page or you need to write down so you can see that this may be choose correctly. This will give you challenges to integrate technologies, and will give you opportunity to come up with new ideas.
Yeah.
So it's don't worry so much about the templates. Just plain text and everything is fine as long as you have that. Who are your numbers and what is the proposal? And what are the innovative parts and what are the and then we meet in 2 weeks here. And by that time, so you get feedback from us. And by that time, you should already have a plan for the first sprint. So that when you need, that's a real kickoff, that's the first sprint where you start working on the. And then again, we're going to have this classroom for 3 hours. Jeff and I are going to give a short intro and going to do a probably around the table to see where you are at. And then probably the rest of the time is available for you to work in groups to do the first sprint. Any questions, concerns?
You have to use Git, but the rest is up to you. So as Rune was saying, you can pick Jira or Confluence or any other project management setups that you need. We now have also GitLab running. So if you want to use GitLab, you could choose this one with the local Git repository. But you have to, all of you have to use Git.
I didn't say that. It doesn't say in the course description that you have, but for the projects, the proposals that you saw, the product owner will be the man or that you want. Now, if you come up with your own for the proposal, you don't have to, but I would say you need to argue why not using this is a good idea. And you're free to. So you have to do the argument, good reason for not using it. You can argue because this is about choosing the right technology. If you have a good argument, but you have a challenge,
yeah, fair.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yes.
And I would say the same with Jira. I mean, if you're one person, still have an advantage to keep track of your tasks and or something similar to.
Yeah, that's right.
And issue tracker and version control system. You have good reasons for not using it. It's a choice. But you just argue or just describe and then why that was not.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there are no further questions, how should I? But however I express it, I can give you one decision. But okay. Do you need us here, or do you want us here, or do you self-organize and you come to our offices? Because I mean, we have reserved time in our calendars. These rooms, and you have reserved time in calendars, so you can stay here, but there's no reason for it. Don't need any of our help right now. Sorry? Yeah. Okay. We take a short break, and then we come back here starting late, so we stay here for a little while, and then we see once you get your work going, then we can. Yeah. Okay. Good.